Walk into any independent repair shop in America and look behind the counter. Not at the new parts on the shelves. Look at what's locked in the back room. Old intake manifolds covered in shop rags. Heavy iron camshafts wrapped in plastic. Crates of pre-2007 diesel engine blocks stacked under a tarp. These men aren't hoarders. They're survivors. Every part you're about to see was engineered out of existence by EPA regulations between 1990 and 2010, and every single one was replaced with a cleaner alternative that conveniently destroys your engine just past the warranty period. The dealership won't tell you, the manufacturer can't legally tell you, but the guy who's been turning wrenches for 30 years knows exactly what's going on. This is what they're hoarding, and this is why. Number 1. The self-suffocating engine. The EPA had a problem in the 1970s. Nitrogen oxide emissions were creating smog, and the only practical way to reduce them was to lower combustion temperatures. So regulators mandated a solution. Take the hot exhaust gas leaving the engine and route it right back into the intake manifold. Let the engine breathe its own waste. Burn it a second time. It is called exhaust gas recirculation, the EGR valve. Here is what they did not put in the press release. That exhaust gas is loaded with carbon particles and microscopic soot. When you route it back into the intake manifold, it mixes with natural oil vapor. The result is a thick, tar-like sludge that coats every intake passage. By 50,000 miles, the intake runners on a modern engine look like the inside of a chain smoker's lung. Power drops. Fuel economy plummets. The engine runs hot because it cannot breathe. That is why mechanics are hoarding pre-EGR intake manifolds from classic Chevy small blocks, Ford 302S, and pre-emissions Dodge Mopar engines, the way physics intended. Number 2. The ceramic grenade. Catalytic converters need to reach 800 degrees Fahrenheit to function. During a cold start, they do not hit that temperature for several minutes, which means your car pollutes more during those first few minutes than during the rest of the drive. The EPA's solution was the manifold catalytic converter. It was bolted directly against the engine block, just inches from the exhaust valves. It heats up fast. Mission accomplished. But the internal structure of a catalytic converter is a ceramic honeycomb. That ceramic was never designed to sit against an engine block experiencing 50,000 heat cycles a year. It cracks. It crumbles into abrasive dust. And because the converter sits right next to the exhaust valves, the natural vacuum during the intake stroke pulls that ceramic dust backwards into the cylinders. It acts like sandpaper on aluminum, scoring the cylinder walls, destroying the piston rings, and turning a $40,000 engine into a paperweight overnight. This is why master mechanics buy up traditional tubular exhaust headers from the 1980s and the 90s. The old design routed exhaust through long steel tubes that gave the heat somewhere to dissipate. The catalytic converter sat safely under the floorboard, far from the cylinders. Number 3. The banned lubricant. For decades, motor oil contained a compound called zinc dialkyl thiophosphate. Mechanics just call it ZDDP. This zinc additive coated every moving metal surface inside your engine with a microscopic sacrificial layer. It was, without exaggeration, the single most important reason engines from the 1960s and 70s regularly hit 300,000 miles with basic maintenance. In the early 2000s, the EPA forced oil companies to dramatically reduce zinc content in consumer motor oil. The reasoning was that trace amounts of zinc would slowly poison the catalytic converter over 100,000 miles. So they took the zinc out. The problem is that older engine designs, especially those with flat tappet camshafts, absolutely require that zinc protection. Without it, the camshaft lobes and lifters grind against each other under extreme pressure. The lobes wear flat. The valves stop opening properly. The entire valve train destroys itself. This is why mechanics stockpile bottles of high zinc racing oils that are sold with off-road use only stickers to bypass EPA regulations. And why pre-emissions camshafts, forged with hardened steel surfaces, are being hoarded by every classic car shop in the country. Because once they are gone forever. Number 4. The DEF extortion. If you own a diesel truck made after 2007, you already know what's coming. The EPA mandated 2 new systems on every commercial diesel engine. The diesel particulate filter, DPF, captures soot from the exhaust. The diesel exhaust fluid system, DEF, injects a urea-based chemical to neutralize nitrogen oxides. Together, these systems are responsible for the most expensive engine failures in the modern diesel industry. The DPF clogs constantly. Every few hundred miles, the truck's computer dumps extra fuel into the exhaust to burn off accumulated soot. If you do a lot of short trips, the filter clogs solid. Your $80,000 truck throws a warning light, drops into limp mode at 15 miles per hour, and refuses to move until you tow it to a dealership for a $4,000 cleaning. The DEF system is worse. The fluid crystallizes inside injector nozzles, sensors fail, and every failure forces the truck into reduced power mode by federal law. This is why commercial drivers and hotshot haulers are paying massive premiums for engines from before 2007. The 12-valve Cummins, the 7.3-liter Power Stroke. These engines have zero emissions computers, no DPF, no DEF, no regen cycles, pure mechanical brute force. A clean Cummins engine block from before 2007 now sells for more than twice what it cost new in 1998. Number 5. The parasitic smart alternator. This one is the most insulting. Federal fuel economy standards push manufacturers to squeeze every fraction of a mile per gallon out of their fleet averages. Engineers look for any way to reduce engine load. One easy target is the alternator. Generating electricity creates drag, and that drag costs 1/10 of a mile per gallon. So engineers came up with the smart alternator. Instead of constantly generating electricity, the computer turns the alternator off while you drive at cruising speed. It only switches back on when you press the brake pedal. The result is a measurable improvement on EPA fuel economy ratings, just enough to hit fleet averages. The problem is that your battery is now being constantly drained and recharged in short, intense cycles. Modern AGM batteries cost between $300 and $600, and they were designed to operate at a steady voltage. The smart alternator's stop-start behavior destroys them in 2 to 3 years instead of 8 to 10. Master mechanics are quietly removing smart alternators and replacing them with classic one-wire alternators from the 1980s. These old units do one thing. They spin, they generate a steady 14.2 volts, and they never ask a computer for permission. So here's where we are. Every single one of these parts was eliminated to make your car cleaner on a federal emissions test. Not cleaner in real-world driving, cleaner on a specific government test cycle. And in exchange, you got an engine that suffocates on its own exhaust, a catalytic converter that destroys your cylinders, motor oil that can't protect older designs, diesel systems that fail constantly, and an alternator that murders your battery. The mechanics who've been doing this for 30 years are not crazy for hoarding the old parts. They're the only ones being honest about what's happening. If you want a truck that will actually go the distance, start looking at the golden era vehicles before all this regulatory nonsense took over. The mechanics already are. Subscribe to Truck Guide. Every week we expose another planned obsolescence trap and help you find the engines worth keeping, because the dealership isn't on your side. We are.